In this recording, I'm going to be talking about and showing off a brief demo of SQLMap. So SQLMap is an automated tool for testing SQL injection, both for detection and exploitation. So what I've done here is I have set up a Docker version of DVWA, and I've done one other thing here is I have also started up a burp proxy. So this is an HTTP proxy that will capture all of our HTTP requests sent from this browser. And we can do things like look at the history of all the requests we have sent and also intercept those requests. Now, we're not going to be intercepting those. So we're going to go, the first thing you want to do is you want to turn this intercept off right here, which is under proxy and the intercept. It's when you boot it up, it'll automatically be turned on. So go ahead and turn that off. And then make sure it's over here on HTTP proxy. And if you don't know how to set up burp, there's another video on my channel that it goes entirely how to set up your own burp proxy. So with that out of the way, let's authenticate to DVWA, which username is admin and password is password. And so DVWA is just a vulnerable web application and it's built on PHP and MySQL. So we're going to come down here to the SQL injection section, and there's SQL injection and blind SQL injection. For the purposes of this demo, we're just going to be using SQL injection, and make sure that the security level is set to low. It that way, since this is a demo, we want to show off what SQLMap is capable of. There are different levels of this damn vulnerable web app that we could be using, but just for the purposes of this, low is entirely fine. So for this particular piece of functionality, we can see it's asking for a user ID. So we're going to feed it a user ID. Let's just start with the number 1. And you'll see here that it's ID equals 1, okay, and it returns back the first name and the surname of that user with that particular ID. What this tells us is, hey, if I input a particular user ID, it is going back to a database, looking for that particular ID number and grabbing the first name and surname of that particular user. That's interesting. So let's come over here to burp and look at the request that we just sent. Now we can see, hey, it's a HTTP GET method, and we are sending a request to vulnerability / SQLi, and ID equals 1 and submit equals submit. So we know that this is a GET request and this is the particular parameter that we want to attack. For the purposes of SQLMap, this is important information that we want, and also this is important information that we want. This will allow us to tell SQLMap to send an authenticated request. So cookie, PHP, session ID, that long string, and then security equals low. So let's open up SQLMap here and say, all right, SQLMap, we want to attack this particular URL. So we're going to come over here and we're going to grab and copy that. Oh. All right, and we're going to say, okay. Oh, I might want to add a single quote there and go ahead and paste that. And all right, so we're telling SQLMap, hey, the URL that we're attacking is this 192.168.1.12 on port 8081 /vulnerabilities /SQLi and then the query string ID equals 1, submit equals submit. The next thing we need to tell SQLMap is um, the cookies that we need. So let's grab those cookies. Let me open Burp Suite here and go ahead and copy the cookies. Oh, I don't want to copy URL. I just want to copy you. Neat. All right, so we're going to give it the option cookie equals, and then let's go ahead and wrap that in double quotes. Paste. All right, so now we've told SQLMap these are the cookies that you need to be sending with every request. The last thing that we need to tell SQLMap here is what do we need to display? So yes, I could test and it would give me back some valid SQL injection, valid SQL injection vulnerabilities, but let's try and grab the names of all the databases. So we could do something like DBS, which would return all the names of the databases. So if I hit enter, it's going to run through. And so yes, all right, cool. Since I've already run this, it's already for the purposes of time, it's already resumed the everything from its stored session, but you can see some valid SQL injections here. So we could do something like, okay, let's take this as the query string here, ID equals test, and then union all, so on and so forth. That's nice, but that's not what we're here for. What we're here for is this information right here, fetching the database names. And you'll see here there are two databases, DVWA and information schema. That DVWA looks interesting. So let's do something with that. Let's do the same thing. Here, let me go ahead and clear here. And so another thing that we can feed it here is D, and we know that it's DVWA. And I happen to know what the table name is that I want. So -T for table, and we want to go after the users table. And then lastly, I want to tell it to dump everything in the users table. If I wanted to, I could do, if I really wanted to, I could say, I'm unsure, uh, I'm unsure what tables there are, right? So I know there's a database. So let's back up here, actually. I want a list of all the tables. So let's grab all the tables on the DVWA database. And we can see here there are two tables, guest book and users. That's perfect. So I already knew the users database was there. So let's go ahead and -T users, and then we're just going to dump everything that's in that users database. And is asking if I want to store the hashes to a temporary file for eventual processing with other tools. There's no need to for this. And do I want to crack them using a dictionary-based attack? No, there's no point in right now. And you can see here that we got a dump of the entire database. So well, this particular table on this particular database. So you can see here there's user ID, the user, the avatar it's using, its password and a hash, the last name, the first name, their last login, and how many failed logins. So this is all good information for us, especially that all those password hashes. So those are things that we might use at a later date um, to try and crack those particular hashes. I hope this has been helpful in explaining what SQLMap is capable of. And there's a lot more to this than just what you've seen here. So I hope you had a good time.